Right. We're seeing if we can get the recording done. So for once, I think you're colder than me. We are doing a Christmas special, and we've had to reschedule, my fault, a couple of times because of family emergencies that have cropped up. I'll tell you about those in a minute. But it's really cold. What's happening in America with all your storms?
It's a comedy of errors. I mean, I was telling you, Catherine, before we started recording, just my little dog, my little boy, my son, my dog son. Everybody knows he was born in India, and even though he was rescued as a puppy and had spent most of his life here in Atlanta, Atlanta's climate is very very, very similar to South India. And so I've always said he's so lucky because he doesn't have to worry about a lot. But I tell you, it is comical to see him outside to take him to the bathroom when it's this cold. I don't know what's going on. We are in the Sun Belt. It's just to give people who are not from America an idea of where I live in Atlanta. We're in the same weather zone as Florida. So even though Florida can get hotter, surprisingly, than Georgia, we're still in the same zone. And it's even cold in Florida right now. It was like in the 20s, which I was telling Catherine, for a Fahrenheit this morning, I woke up, it was 7 degrees Fahrenheit in Atlanta, Georgia. That's negative 14 Celsius. We don't do winter in the South, so this is quite a little Christmas surprise. There's no snow, but it is freaking cold. We're having to drastically figure out how to do this. Not a lot of people have central heating because we just don't need it down here. We have space heaters everywhere. My dog has like 5 different sweaters on right now. And I said, Catherine, I mean, I said it last night too. I was like, how would you like to, if you were a man, how would you like to have your wiener swinging outside in 7 degrees Fahrenheit? You know, it's obviously.
No, it's absolutely freezing. No wonder you wouldn't want to go. And it's so funny because I mean, we all know about the weather manipulation that's been going on. So a couple of weeks ago, I was sitting here with loads of jumpers on because we had ice like 4 inches thick on my horse's water. So it was a full-time job just looking after all the animals and everything and keeping all the bunnies and guinea pigs and horses and everyone warm, plus feeding all the wildlife. And now we're having a really mild patch, but it's up and down like a yo-yo. But no one's surprised with that in the UK, but they are in Atlanta and Florida. So, oh, dearie me.
I yesterday morning, so the 23rd, I ordered like a breakfast from Grubhub, which I guess you guys have that in the UK too, which is
Not Grubhub, but they have other things. But we live, I heard you talk about it with some other people. So where I live, you can't get anything delivered because we're too in the middle of nowhere, which is a real blessing for me because it means I haven't got that temptation.
Oh, it's easy for me because I don't know. I mean, I'm not the chef in my family, but I ordered like a breakfast from a restaurant here in Atlanta, and Grubhub. People go pick it up and bring it to you. And the guy, usually just leave it at your door. Well, the guy called me because the gate was a little bit frozen, so he couldn't get into my gate. So I had to come out and help him. And you know, down here in the South, especially men in the South, or you know, women in the South, there's this code of conduct, this chivalry. Like if you see a woman, you offer to open the door for her, you carry her bags, all that kind of stuff. So I thought it was so funny when I had to go outside to help the guy get into the gate, and I was making small talk, and I was like, oh my god, it's so cold. He's like, I know, ma'am, I'm so sorry, you should not be out in this cold. Like he goes,
Oh.
I was like, no, it's totally fine. And I want to be like, down here in the South, I was talking to our friend Stephanie. I was telling her, she was telling me about how sometimes it gets like to 9 degrees where she lives. And I was like, is that even legal? Like, is it legal to live somewhere that cold? And here I am having to fight it in Atlanta, Georgia. And none of us, I always say there's this great, and if I can remember, I'll link it on my channel in the description box there's a stand-up comedian a female who is from Atlanta, and she lives in New York now because of her work. And she does this huge stand-up, the difference between, because Atlanta is considered the New York of the South. We're called Empire State South. That's our kind of our nickname or whatever. And she was saying that there was a snowstorm in New York one day, and one of her jokes, and she was shocked that she had to go into work the next day because there was a snow. And you know, they even mentioned that there might be snow here in the South, and everything shuts down. And she said she was looking at her boss, and she goes, but Jesus don't want me to go to work tomorrow. And I just love that. I was like, but Jesus don't want us to go outside when it's cold. So.
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. And we're having well, first of all, happy Christmas to everyone. Just to celebrate the year and the journey we've been on, which with all of you watching, I have my glass of wine, which some of you used to me seeing because it has been one of those weeks. But we are going to celebrate with you guys this year that we've been on, and the bumpy roller coaster. And I think what you've just said there about Jesus doesn't want me to do that sums up the year, really, doesn't it? It's just like lessons we embrace. We say we're here on a journey. I've been laughing so much this week, more through horror really than anything else. But, you know, we laugh and we sort of say we're all here on a journey, all here to learn. And when we finished our learning, then that will be when we're off to the next plane, wherever that might be. But what a year. And I was sort of going through, doing some of my journaling, looking at some of the things I've learned this year. And from the comments in the 30-day group, from the comments that we get on our channel. Thank you so much, anyone who does comment, by the way. It's not a vanity thing when we love the comments. One, Brice and I, our whole channels are us sharing this experience with you. You know, as Brice was said, we're walking each other home. So your comments on a personal level mean so much to us. But also the way YouTube works now, if people don't comment and like and share, the shadow banning gets even worse. So it's a dual purpose of sort of almost fingers up to me, to the controllers, really. But yeah, it's been quite a year, hasn't it? And we've shared a lot of interesting experiences on that way.
I have to say, last night there was a little Christmas party on Zoom, and Stephanie had to put a link up, and I was telling the group on the Zoom all these awesome people that watch our channels. And of course, we know that's one thing I love about, I have to say, a side note I love about our little community, our little corner of the internet. You know, if you go to YouTube, there's so many different genres of content on YouTube. There's drama channels, there's this, there's that, and all these other communities seem to kind of be in competition with each other. But I feel like for the most part in this community, we're all on the same team, and we all we share. I don't want to say share subscribers because we don't own our subscribers. I mean, obviously we don't own anybody, but we all kind of are in the same community. We cross work with each other. We have the same subscribers leaving. We're one group of people working together. And I was telling the people last night, like, if Catherine or I think I can speak for both of us, if we didn't have you guys watching our content, sharing our content, interacting with our content, then we wouldn't have content. You are the spirit behind our channel. You are the spirit that pushes our channel, pushes the work forward. And, you know, I like that we have a place where we can all share ideas, because one person's ideas are never good enough. It takes a lot of people with different perspectives to try to figure out the right answer for anything. And so I love that about that. We have such, I really feel like our subscribers are a part of Esoteric Atlanta. They're a part of they're part of the channel. They're an intricate part of our work that we do. And so, yeah, you guys that are watching right now, you are the spirit that pushes this forward. Without you guys, we would not have channels. And yeah, that is 100%. So important.
And, you know, we've all been on this journey together, which this is what I love. So what I can see with you, your subscribers and my subscribers and some of our other close friends that we work a lot with, as you say, there's a lot of crossover of like-minded people. And like-minded people, it absolutely does not mean we've always got to agree. I love it when we don't agree and we do have different people. And, you know, my channel was all about expanding consciousness through curiosity. And my passion is health and wellness, but really empowering people. I've been very much brought up and very much one of those people that I genuinely believe nothing's impossible if you want it enough. But I also very much am a team player. You know, I love pulling together. In my corporate career, which was very long in lots of different areas, I was a really good team leader, manager, because I really love getting the best out of everyone and recognizing everyone's unique talents and how important they are. And this is what I think we've seen over the last few years, particularly anyone that's still with us now and sticking to it. I think the evolution that we've seen in all of us, and by all of us, I'm talking about anyone who watches and interacts, is really quite amazing. And I just wanted to say, one of the main things I wanted to say is a big congratulations to everyone that's got to this stage, because you've been doing a huge amount on shadow work. I've been doing a huge amount on taking back your sovereignty and your power with regard to your health, your wellness, what you want to do with your life. And I think anyone who's on that journey should really, really be so, so proud of them, because we know how much resistance there's been from whatever quarters it might be, whether it's professionally, whether it's family, whether it's friends. You know, a lot of us are empaths, and letting go of things that no longer serve us can be really, really painful experience to go through, however necessary. And I just look back, I sort of was sitting there last night, sort of really thinking about, right, what do I want to do moving forward, and what do I feel I've got out of the last few years? And I thought, wow, looking at where everyone's at, every time I interact with people, I did a little health coaching group throughout November. You've done your 30-day challenge that a few of the other of us were involved in as well, and I'm just constantly blown away by how amazing every individual is in their own unique way.
We have so many, and there's everybody that's participating with us here has so much integrity too. That's what I
Yes.
really noticed through last night, through the Zoom, through the signal group that we have still going strong with all the over, the last 30-day challenge, we had over 600 worldwide participants, and there's over 200 people in the signal group. And every time, and unfortunately, and I think our group members understand that because we are filming a lot and researching a lot, that Catherine, myself, Stephanie, Shanti Mornay don't have a chance to be on there as much as Emmy don't have a chance to be on there as much as we like. But every time I get a chance to look at my phone, I mean, I have over like 200 messages, and
Exactly.
I kind of skim through and I'm like, holy shit, this is so unbelievable. All these amazing friendships are being formed from, you got someone in like Tennessee that's become like so close to someone in Melbourne, Australia. Someone in Canada has become super close to somebody in Africa. It's just incredible. And every person in there is working their ass off to better themselves, and they're taking that responsibility and they're taking that accountability and they're doing it with integrity and they're cheering each other on. And that makes me so proud of this. We know that in this like truther community, although I hate saying truther because nobody has the truth. We're seekers. I
No.
think we're rather just a seeking community. We're seeking the truth. We're looking for the truth. And it we know that there are bad people infiltrated in this community, but there are also really good, incredible people all around the world who are showing up. And as I see your beautiful
You
horses
see what
walking,
I was just going to say? I didn't want to interrupt you, but my son, we've just been a day of animals, and you could just see the horses coming past. They're so cute.
were we
No.
live on a show? Was that this past year, Catherine, when we were on a show where
Oh,
your horse
yes. Do you
Romeo?
remember with Mark Atwood, and then Romeo was poking his head in through the window? This is
That's
what.
my favorite show so far because Romeo was staring, like you could see him
Yeah.
through her door, her French door is right there, was staring like literally the whole time, did not make eye contact with Catherine. And the funniest thing is I look at what animals do, like Robbie, my dog is super infatuated with female humans, and he will literally go, he has learned how to kiss people, like not the way that like licking. And I think it's because he gets kissed a lot, like he hears the pressure. And so he goes up to people, like he'll come in there, I'll be in here working, he'll walk into the room, he'll come in, he'll like push his snout on my leg and then turn around. He just gave me a kiss. So he'll do that on the street with any female that, I mean, he'll stick his snout up their dresses, everything, and like kiss them. And everybody's like, oh, so cute. I'm like, all these things that male animals do, if a human man did that, they would be in jail.
Thing with me is one of my favorite times of day, morning and evening, is when I feed all my animals, because they're all so different and they all need very different things. And the little noises that the guinea pigs make, I heard you saying about Ravi and things, and the horses. And what's so funny is I can't stand hearing humans eat. But when my animals can make as much noise and they can slobber all over you and rub it all over you, and it's the best thing ever. But if a human does it, I'm like, oh, disgusting. And it's comical because, again, I can see how ridiculous it is. And my husband's saying, well, Romeo did that. And I'm like, well, Romeo's got a tail and he's furry. Although I did fall for my husband when he was dressed as a panda. So that's another story. That says a lot. But yeah, going back to our listeners and things, I've always been one of the people that, everyone says I love humanity so much, and I don't wish them any harm, but I've always made no secret of the fact that I like animals a lot more. But this year has been a breakthrough for me in terms of really appreciating the individuality and the gifts. And there's so much that goes round about women being competitive with each other. Now, our communities are not all women by any stretch of the imagination, but there's a lot. And the level of support I've seen, not necessarily people that are on camera, that's a different story, but the off-camera ones, I tell you what, I've got no worries at all about where we're going of humanity.
No, all the females, yeah, no, you're right. And that's one thing the only person I'm in competition with is myself. Is trying to make, and I love my life. And I was saying, we were talking about this on the phone yesterday, Catherine, like neither one of us got on YouTube to become famous. That was never my goal. It was just, I need to do this because I want to figure out, I'm a seeker of the truth and I want to find like-minded people. And before the lockdown, that was easy for me to do in the yoga community. I was surrounded with seekers in the yoga community. And then when all shit hit the fan, all of a sudden that was gone. And so where else do you go? You turn to the internet. And so, and I think Catherine, I have to give us a bit of you and I have dealt with a lot this year and we have stood strong, and I am so proud of us because not once have we dropped our integrity. Not once have we stooped to anything low. You know, we've just kept pushing forward on why we started this to begin with. And I'm proud of you for doing that. I'm proud of myself for doing that. You know, why we started this journey in the first place. And that was to find, again, I'm just going to reiterate that it was not to get famous at all. It was literally to create a platform where there could be a comment section and I could put something up and be like, what do you guys think? What do you notice about this? Is this weird to you too? And then I go and read the comments and see what other people say. And then the same people comment over and over again. So you get to know these people as actual human beings. And then seeing them, some of the people on camera last night, to put a face to the screen name and a voice, all of a sudden it made it even more special. And, you know, and even with, I know I could speak to Mara as well. You know, she's been doing these charts for all of our subscribers. And she always tells me off camera, like, what an amazing group of people she's read for. And like how incredible everybody is. And just knowing, just like seeing their charts and how purposeful everyone's life is. And so I want to express that to everyone watching right now. Like, everyone watching right now, you're really cool. You're really cool
very cool. I have the same comments as well, because obviously I've been working with the Asea and the Roots and things, and I don't work with those to make money. I work with those because for 25 years, I've been a biologist and holistic health trainer, giving people alternatives for their animals and themselves to deal with it. And when I was looking at, you know, going through some ideas of what I've got planned for this coming year, which is quite exciting, you know, I keep coming back to you and I, as you say, we do this at conscious communication. And let's look at what cancer is. Cancer is when the communication has broken down within your body and some rogue group of cells, look at how relevant this is, everything is a fractal of the bigger picture, have got out of control. And, you know, this fractal of, we're all fractals of what's going on in the bigger picture is a reoccurring theme. And if we don't keep this conscious communication going, where people are exploring and open to listening and open to having their minds changed and open to seeing a different point of view, then we'll all just continue to be hypnotized by the people that are pushing an agenda that we know is good for it's their agenda. They don't care at all about us, the rest of the planet, or any other of the creatures, great and small. And I think it's just absolutely fantastic just to everyone on this journey is learning so much. And I love learning. You know, my favorite chats to have are on the subjects that I know the least about, because I'm on this journey to learn and improve myself and be a better human and to work out how I can contribute more and everything. And I think what I've seen so much is everyone else who's been on this journey with us is on exactly that. And I think, as I said, the beauty of the way people are supporting people, I do think that's different. It's a massive shift now, and how good it feels. You know, it's such a cliche to say, if you want to heal yourself, to give back, but it really, really does work. We are community beings. We are, you know, meant to be living in a close-knit community. Look, you and I've talked about a lot about, look at what happened to the atrocities of the lockdown, about how the elderly were treated. has given most people a completely kick up the backside to say, I need to look at how I'm helping out the older people in my own family. And so many of the people that I've been interacting with, I mean, of the health group that I was running, 2 or 3 of them were looking after, were full-time carers for their elderly parents. And it was just amazing, Brice, to see what they were doing. But what a brilliant example they were setting, because in a lot of the world, that's still normal, but we've lost that in our community. Or certainly here in the UK, we have.
Oh, in America as well, we chuck our elderly in an assisted living home and we go
Exactly.
about our lives. And it's interesting. I know Charlie Ward spoke about this, and I agree with him because of my experiences in India. In India, they take care of their elderly. Their grandparents come and live with them, you know, and
Yes.
it seems only natural because your parents, when you were a baby, wiped your butt and fed you and made sure that you were clean and made sure you had a warm bed to sleep in and you were cuddled and fed and all that kind of stuff. So why wouldn't we do that again? You know, that seems like a karmic cycle of life when your parents get elderly, doing the same for them as well. And you know, so as you were saying this, Catherine, I shared this in our Signal group. I had done a bar class with Marnie Alton, and at the end, she always has words of reverence. And I loved what she said in this particular bar class. And it was an older class I had done a long time ago, but for some reason, what she said really struck me. And I'll just kind of paraphrase. She was like, you know, if you want to be understood, then you have to seek to understand. If
Mm.
you want to be loved, then you have to love. If you want to be accepted, then you have to be accepting. And isn't that it's so true? Like what we want is what we need to be. You know, if you see the beauty of the world, then the world will see the beauty in you. And I love that. And she said this, and we did that in the 30-day challenge where I had people write a letter of reverence to someone in their, not in their immediate family, but somebody outside of their family, a colleague, whatever, someone that they really admired. I had in the 30-day challenge, everybody had to sit down and hand write, not type, hand write, because the hand's connected to anahata, to the heart chakra, hand write a letter telling this person how much they respected them, how much they admired them, why they admired them. And I said, you can mail it to the person anonymously or you can sign your name. And then after they did that, they had to go back and journal what they said, because the things that makes me emotional, the
Mm.
things you admire in someone else, those are your qualities.
Yeah.
Those are your qualities. And so if you want to, if you want to see the beauty in the world, or if you want to see people, if you want people to see the beauty in you, then you need to also see the beauty in the world, and that's what pulls it out of you. And I think that's what we're starting to learn. And you know, when you see the low vibration and of competition, as far as like women competing against each other, all that bullshit, you know, that's just low vibrational stuff. You know, why can't we just see the beauty in each other? And helping. And I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, if you're being abused or if there's something
Yes.
wrong happening, you need to speak up and say something. I'm just talking about, you know, typical everyday. And we don't see that in our community. I don't see that amongst our community of subscribers. I love it. I love it. Nothing makes my heart happier when I go in the comment section and I see 2 of my subscribers having a conversation and
Oh, I
supporting each
know.
other.
It's just so needed at this time. And the other way, there's so many different ways people can support each other and so many flow states. So I'm so over. Oh, so 3D. It's my favorite saying of the year. So 3D. Liz needs a t-shirt. But so many people are open to criticize all the time. So are you viewing the world through the eyes of what you can see that's right or what that sees wrong? Doesn't mean that we're not aware of the atrocities and trying to take actions that avoid those. That's not what I mean. But for example, I'm going to take sport as an example. Now, so many people slag off competitive sports because they say all the higher people are corrupt. Well, we've had our friend Jamie Saleh, and I know lots of other very high level sports people. It's just not true. Doesn't mean that some of them aren't, but some of them are corrupt in every single industry that you look at. Doesn't mean that they all are. But also there's so many ways that you as an individual can get into a flow state and get that connection and give support. So I happened to watch last night about the British Lionesses. That's a British women's football team who won the European champions this year. Now, my daughter's really into football. She's brilliant. But this was beautiful to see because this was a team where they were not competitive about who was in the starting lineup. They were a common goal. Their manager was just amazing and wasn't even the same nationality, because what they were doing is there's so many people, whether it's sport, whether it's art, whether it's writing, whether it's gardening, whether it's music, poetry, teaching, everyone will get into their flow state and get their connection and feel on purpose in their own way. And I'm so sick of people taking whole segments of society and writing them off.
Yeah.
Without knowing the individuals involved. You know, I think there's been so much good that's come out of the awareness of the last few years, but I also now think I'm at the stage where we've got to just cut down this gossip, the lumping everyone into the same category. You know, there are some good doctors. My daughter had an issue with her leg today. We were a bit worried about something. They got back to us straight away. The care that she had in hospital was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't mean that I agree with pharmaceutical medicine, a lot of modern medicine, but there's some really brilliant people in there.
My grandfather, my mom's dad, his name was Brice. Brice is my mom's maiden name. He was a surgeon. He was head of surgery. I mean, everybody in my mom's family was a doctor, but I'll use him as an example. He was head of surgery for his clinic, meaning he was the main squeeze, right? And when he passed away, he never had a chance to retire. Because he got cancer and died like 6 months later. He's like 56 years old. I thought that was old when he died, but now I'm like, holy shit, that's not that old. Oh, that's young. But he was head of surgery. I'm trying to figure out how I can say this. So the big companies that have the medicines, I have found out that in the 80s, my grandfather was fighting them. He was saying, your job is my job. My responsibility is to help the patient. If I need you, I will call for you. My job is not to do what you say. Your job is to do what I say as a doctor. And so there are really good doctors out there. Surgery, what people, if we look back at natural medicine, like Ayurveda, where everything comes from, surgery came from Ayurveda. They were the first they were the first people to start opening up bodies. And even though I do believe that in the future, things like appendectomies won't be necessary, like removing an appendix won't be necessary. I had my appendix taken out when I was 12 years old, and it was about to burst when they took it out. And so I am super grateful to that surgeon who removed my appendix, because if he hadn't removed my appendix, I would not be here right now. And exactly. So you're right. And that's one thing that's driving me crazy too. There is a side of this community that's very vigilante.
Yes.
About destroy everything. And I'll say it again, we see this with Christmas coming up, how everybody thinks Christmas is now so bad and it's so satanic. Well, who said that? Because according to the law of one and according to science, if you think about things like photosynthesis, darkness can't create anything. Darkness can't create anything. Only the light can. So everything that exists in our world was at one point created for good. And it got inverted. So why the hell are you going to sit in misery, being grumpy and upset during something like Christmas, when you can decide to continue to celebrate, to continue to have fun with your friends and your family? I am so excited about seeing my nephew and my nieces tomorrow. I cannot wait to hear what Santa brought them. I usually give them a ton of candy with their presents, because LOL, my sister then has to deal with it later. But I can't wait to give them, and my sister's really cool about that. Let them have their candy. It's Christmas, but I cannot wait to see the joy in their eyes. For the simplest gift, a little doll, that's what's so exciting. And so it goes back to that thing. If you want people to see the beauty, you see the beauty in the world, see the beauty in the holidays, see the beauty in the beautiful. I love seeing Christmas trees in people's houses where they have little kids, because you can tell when the kids have decorated the Christmas tree, because all the ornaments are in one lump spot.
Yes, exactly.
And I love that parents just leave it. They just leave it like that, because that's how their kid decorated, and seeing all the homemade ornaments. And, it's just such a special time. And so don't be, black and white thinking is a sign of a mental disorder. Everything falls in shades of gray, everything. And it's the same. Tamara talks about the same thing with Hollywood, because she's done a lot of work in Hollywood. Not every celebrity is bad, even though they might have pictures because someone told them to do something in a photo shoot, does not mean that they're in the club. It does not mean that they stand for or even know about the club.
And also, so much of it, that's such a good point, because so much of it, people can go down a certain way, and then when they realize, they change and they make complete corrections. So I've worked for loads of different industries in the past, and I've never done anything nefarious with any of them, but I've learned an awful lot on the way that I'm really pleased I learned now. So now I'm much more better educated and informed to see what does go on in those sort of industries. So I think for me, like where I want to go sort of moving forward to next stage is really concentrate on the creating, really concentrate on individual level. When each of us are in flow, we know what it's like. When we're in a really good place, everyone wants to be around you. When you're in a bad place, you can be tricky to be around. It's not this false positivity, but it's concentrating on creating, not destroying is where I'm at the moment.
Well, if you're of the light, you're a creator. I know, yeah, and I'll remind you guys, I released the story. I've been working on the story for a while about the Newsies strike of 1899, where these 8, 9, 10, 11-year-old kids basically shut down New York City. And if those are our ancestors, that spark of life, those kids were so freaking cool. I mean, at 8 years old to like basically bring Joseph Pulitzer and Hearst on their knees. If those are our ancestors, and this was happening all over the world, guys, that spark of coolness and genius that was in those 8, 9, 10-year, 11-year-old kids is flowing through you as well. And because you are of the light, you are a creator.
Absolutely.
Creator. So let your light shine. Like let it, carry that spirit into 2023, because going into this, Lord help us if we go into a new timeline where some of these vigilante truthers are in charge, the world's going to look a lot darker than when the controllers were in charge. So
that's what I think. And I loved your chat with Tamara, who was hysterical. I mean, there was some sad bits in it, but I love the bit about just send it back. Yeah. Just send it back. If it's not yours, send it back to sender and just let them deal with it. I love, it's really that simple. And that's very satisfying as well. I really enjoyed
I've been sending it back, girl. I've been sending it back. I've been like, I don't want this. I don't consent. Thank you. Return to sender. And Tamara's right. Those doing the nasty things, they know what they're doing. It's not like they can't.
It's at the stage now where they do, where it's a conscious choice. And all of us, every single person on this planet and every single animal on this planet has consequences for their choices. And, that's part of being a grown-up, isn't it? You learn and you take consequences, you make choices, and then you live by the consequences of them. So, yeah. So what are you really excited about for next year?
Well, we have a 60-day challenge coming up. I'm going to be finishing that up. I worked really hard this week to pre-film a bunch of videos so that when my first few days in Florida, I can just sit down and finish out the 60-day challenge. I'm so excited about it, you guys. We have so much more that's going to be happening during the 60-day challenge. There's even a book club that's going to happen with some of Ram Doss's books. That was inspired by one of our post challengers suggested that, added in. And I'm turning 40 this upcoming year, and I can't, 40 is a big number in spirituality. So it's a big, after 40, things apparently start getting better. And that makes sense. So, you think about your life, and I never would want to go back to my 20s. Listen, I had a lot of fun in my 20s. I lived in LA, a lot of fun, but I don't want to go back. I'm really glad.
Exactly the same with me as well. Yeah. I'm growing old disgracefully.
Yes.
It's such great fun. I'm looking forward to how many more middle-age crises can I have. They're all going to be really good.
Well, it's so funny. And Catherine, you look so young too. But the other night I was watching some old. Did you guys get the program in the 80s and 90s, Unsolved Mysteries?
Yes, we did.
I was rewatching some old Unsolved Mysteries from the 80s or early 90s, something like that. And they reenact what's going on. It was a bank heist. And this woman was standing at the teller back in the day where you had to actually go into the bank and get cash and stuff before ATM machines and stuff. And the victim, the woman, was a 40-year-old woman. And they had this woman in an old lady haircut, pearl, gray, curly, tight hair, pearl earrings, holding her purse. And I was like, holy shit.
We're looking forward to the new look. Yeah.
I was like, times have changed, man. Times have changed. We are really embracing youth a lot longer. in our lives than I think our people before us embraced their youth. And so that's a beautiful, beautiful thing for us anyway, that we're, you know, how many people in the last 30-day challenge did we have, Catherine, who are like 80 years old doing the 30
Oh,
days?
absolutely amazing. And you didn't hear any of them moan about anything or anything complain. They just very much got on with, I just thought it was absolutely fantastic.
Some of those 80-year-olds outdid me. I was
Oh
like, I
yeah.
gotta step it up.
They all outdid me, I tell you. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we had so many people that, you know, had, that's the thing too that I'm loving as well is and I've known this through yoga about the idea that a lot of, like we were talking about the cancer stuff, a lot of these diseases that we have, these issues that we have, even though yes they need to be acknowledged, they are psychosomatic, they are
Yeah.
coming from a place of our creation. And so therefore, if we believe that these diseases, these issues are limitations, and they will be limitations. And I saw so many people in this challenge, and I always use our student at AYA as an example. I won't say his name, but he has cerebral palsy, and so one of his arms doesn't really work. And that man comes in that shala every day, never complains, works his butt off. Yes, we do have to make modifications. When he does Syrian on the scar A, he has to literally take one hand and pull the other one up, you know, but he never complains. He does the work. And so many people in this challenge who have issues, physical issues, health issues, did the challenge anyway.
Yeah.
And seeing their growth and their courage, it takes courage to change your way of thinking. It takes courage to do something, even when you know it's going to be hard, you know it's going to be slightly painful. That takes courage and bravery. And having courage and bravery does not mean that you're not afraid of what you're doing. It means that you see the fear, you acknowledge the fear, and you do it anyway. And so that is something that needs to be applauded for everyone that had the courage to face themselves. I mean, how I'm so excited about the 60-day challenge to see what happens.
It's going to be amazing because it just gets better and better and better. And look at all the fantastic contributions that people have been making.
Oh, I know. It's amazing. And you guys are, I mean, I say that if we're all energy, which we are, we're all energy, we're all these little energy, you know, and the Emerald Tablets, Thoth says that when you're on the other side of the veil and you see human beings, you don't see them as Catherine and Brice as physical beings. You see them as light, like little fireflies, little flickers of light. That's what you are. You're a flicker of light. That's energy. And so if you channel that flicker correctly and you let it grow and the light grow, and you all are simultaneously doing it around a world, mission complete.
Completely. Yeah.
That's it. You're the storm. And so, yeah, it's just like that little church song, this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. Just let that sucker shine, you know?
Yeah. Now,
That's what
did you, when you woke up and it was this cold this morning, did you have your cold shower?
I did. I worked out. I did my workout. I had like a heater beside I had to wait for a minute to let it get slightly warm. My feet, usually I wear like shorts and a sports bra. I had to wear my long yoga pants today. And I did do the first first few minutes warm, and then I did the cold shower. I did it.
I'm impressed because I must say, when we've been having this cold spell, I've dropped the cold showers because I was spending so much time outside. I was freezing. I was walking.
You were getting your cryotherapy outside.
But yeah, so now obviously, so this is what it goes. We can all make excuses. So, oh, naughty me. I'll get back to the whim, I promise. So yeah, so I think this way, I mean, this Christmas, we're having a very different one. We're having a completely no present Christmas, which is lovely because we all just get to, I mean, we haven't got little kids, so it's easy to do that. Our children are bigger than me. Yeah, so it's just been really wonderful. It's the first year we've done it, and we've just given a bit more to different charities and just, you know, spent a bit more time helping out, and it just feels really, really nice. And it's sort of taken quite a lot of the pressure off, where we can just see people and not have to indulge, because what I have realized this year is just how much indulgence there is in a lot of our society. And I think, you know, that's again is looking at some of the pressures that the nefarious people are putting on us and switching them around and saying, what can we get out of it? You know, over here, I think where you are, heating's very expensive, food has gone up a lot, but actually it does make you eat more consciously. It makes you snuggle together a bit more. And, you know, that so whatever your situation, you can try and say, right, what's the lesson in this, and how can I get something positive out of this?
Exactly. And you know, the funny thing is, I was having this with our friend Emmy on the phone the other day, having this conversation. you know, and I have small nephew and nieces, so of course we do. And
Mm.
my sister's birthday is Christmas Day, and her husband's is the day after Christmas. So there's a lot going on for us at this
Yeah.
time of year. But yeah, but little kids, like if you think back on your, and that's something I want to ask the audience, and I want to ask you, Catherine, too. When we think about Christmas and Christmas is past, I know this can be a bittersweet time for people. There's also a lot of pain this time of year, and I acknowledge that. I acknowledge that this can be a hard time of year for people. But looking back at like my childhood, I loved Christmas, and I don't remember gifts I got. Like, I don't remember
Oh.
specifically, but I loved there were traditions we did, and though that was my childhood, and I love it. And I want our audience watching right now, like, what are some of your favorite Christmas traditions? Because every family has, like, my parents, for example, my sister and I on Christmas Eve every year. Now I know why my parents did this. Um, because of a certain man that comes down a chimney. I won't say anything more in case we have small people watching right now. But my sister and I would get to sleep on Christmas Eve. We got to sleep in my parents' master bedroom, their big bed. It was our treat. Our treat. Literally, the master bedroom was at the far end of the house.
Yes.
We were cut together, so that now I see the logic in my parents. But that was always so exciting because my sister and I would get in my parents' big master bed, and my mother, there were TV in there. She would put like a movie on for us, and then when we wake up on Christmas morning early, the first thing I would always say to my sister, I'd wake her up and I would say happy birthday. That would be the first thing I would say to her because it was her birthday. And then we'd go run into wherever room my parents were sleeping. We'd go wake them up to go. And I remember one year we did get a trampoline. That's one of the things I remember. And before they started putting trampolines in the ground, you know, when they were death traps above the
Yeah.
ground, that's what we had. And we looked out the window so that we could see, because a letter from Santa said to look out the window. And there were footprints on the trampoline. Well, apparently my father had fun that night putting that trampoline up, and my sister and I were convinced they were elves' footprints. And so my mom,
Oh.
and my dad just went with it. They just went with it. They were like, "Yeah, that's what that is." So I
Oh.
want to hear, Catherine, what are some great traditions you have, your
I mean,
family?
our family are very much, we've always had, even when I was growing up, we had loads of animals. So my favorite thing was the year Sybil, one of our dogs, ate the turkey. My grandmother, unfortunately, my grandfather died at 56 of cancer as well. So that's spooky.
That's interesting.
So we used to have my grandma over a lot, and that my parents had loads of animals, and we were doing this, and we were always there were a couple of things. There was one, don't let the chickens, because we had pet chickens. My mum used to rescue battery hens, so we could never let the chickens see the turkey because they used to come in our kitchen and everything, because obviously we didn't want to traumatize them. And secondly, it was like Sybil ate the turkey, so my mum was just about to serve up, you know, she'd set it there ready for carving, and then came back in and the dog had chewed through all of it and eaten most of it. Luckily didn't eat any of the cooked bones. So but in terms of traditions, it was really about when I was a child, it was really exciting because my dad used to let us have a snowball and advocaat, which was alcohol, like the yellow we drink with lemonade. So that was always very exciting. But as a parent, my favorite thing was leaving the Tia Maria and mince pies and carrots out for Rudolph and Father Christmas. And then obviously, but the downside was exactly what you said, is the children would never go to sleep. So you're desperately trying to wait for them to go to sleep, and you're thinking, I really want to go to bed, and then one would be asleep and one wouldn't. And so that was always comical. So it was such relief when we got to a stage where we didn't have to wait for them to go to sleep.
So if anybody wants to steal that idea from my parents,
Yeah, it would have been a really good idea, because the amount of nights, and my son was a really heavy sleeper, but my daughter would wake up at anything, so it was impossible. But we have really good fun with the neighbours, because all the neighbours used to come around to get some of my hay and scatter it outside, to, you know, pretending that Rudolph had gone there. So again, we had to wait, and the neighbours had come round, have a glass of wine, and then grab some hay so that they could go and say, oh, look what Rudolph's left. So but I still put the stuff out for Rudolph.
you know, I do with Robbie, my dog. I do Santa Paws with him.
Yeah,
I have gifts for him. I'm gonna go put out, and I mean, it's more for me because I don't think he cares, but I do
exactly.
Santa Paws. Like I love it, and that's the one thing I love being an aunt, because I get to hear about Santa Claus. But I just, I mean, I look at my dad was, you know, he was 6'4", very alpha male. And I wish my mother had videotaped him putting together all the doll houses, all the Barbie houses from that, because we would walk out, they would already be set up. I mean, I would love to see those videos of him trying to put with his big old hands.
Yeah, that's funny.
Right?
My father was 6'4" as well.
So the Watson side, they're giants. But I would comical now. I think it's sweet. I think when you see a big alpha male with daughters, but just I wish I had video of him putting together those doll houses and those Barbie houses.
I know it is the long-suffering parents. It's
No.
absolutely gorgeous. So, yeah,
Um,
but
I would love to hear
do-
other people's traditions, like what other people do in your family. Like, what was a tradition for you? Like I would
Top
love
of
to
the
hear
pops,
that.
and all the older people always wanted to watch the Queen's speech.
Oh,
So
we
you
didn't
had
get
to
that.
sit through the Queen's speech thing. So that was the ones, and we'd watch Top of the Pops, and I can always remember the horror of my nan sitting there watching Madonna singing Like a Virgin, and then and she's saying, "What's she saying? What's she saying?" We're like, "Don't know, Nanny, no idea." That's a
I don't know. Well, did you guys have in the UK? And I don't know if they do this anymore because not many people watch TV anymore because it's all on the internet. Even those who are not like awake still. But when I was a kid on Christmas Eve, like we would get home from church and the news, all the mainstream media news outlets would have a Santa tracker. And so they'd be delivering the news.
Yeah.
And it makes me kind of emotional. Then they would say, now we're going to track Santa. And they would go over and they would show you like where in like Russia he was. And you would see like a sleigh on the news of him. And then when they get to America, and I think like it was kind of wink, wink to the parents, like, oh, look, kids, Santa's getting close. He's almost in New York. You got to go to bed. So come. I'll tell you one more trick that my dad's parents did, which I think is brilliant. And I don't know how you could do this now because everybody's phone has the time on it, but my dad's parents would set the clocks back.
Yes, my dad used to do that as well. Yeah.
So my dad and his sisters would wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. They'd point to the clock and say, "Oh, it's only 3 o'clock. You got to go back to bed." I thought that was freaking genius that they did that so they could get some sleep. So
that was really good. Oh, I must just say one other tradition, and I'd like to hear in the comments who else do this. So when you watch something really funny. So in the UK, we had these old films that are really old, probably made in the 60s or something, called Carry On films. I don't know if you've seen them, but they're very, very British slapstick humor. So there were certain programs that were on every Christmas or films, and they're really funny because they're quite good, these old comedies. So there's bits that the children will find funny, but then there's a lot that the adults find funny that the children don't get. So the constant conversations going on saying, "Why are you laughing at that, Daddy? Why is that funny?" And then my mum saying, "You tell him." So those bridging of the children and adult jokes and everything, I just find in the good old slapstick movies was so funny. And then you get old enough to say, "Oh, that's why they were laughing." Okay. So I know wherever anyone is this year, whether you're celebrating on your own, whether you are with family, there's been some really funny things going around on the internet about don't talk about politics, don't talk about this, and all the long lists of things that you mustn't talk about over Christmas. I can't wait to hear some of people's stories about that as well, but I do hope everyone manages to relax and spend some quality time with yourself and anyone else that you're drawn to.
Just enjoy the magic of Christmas. There is a magic to this time of year, and enjoy it, feel it, be it. It doesn't mean it's satanic at all. No one I know is using this holiday for nefarious purposes. So, and that joy, that magic, that joy, that smile is what counters the darkness. And so, and if you know anybody who's struggling, reach out and just send them a text and just wish that you never know how much just one simple text saying Merry Christmas to someone is struggling would mean to that person. So, what's another saying? If you want a friend, you got to be a friend. And so, yeah.
I think 2023 is the time of really friends banding together, having each other's back, and appreciating everyone for their individuality, because that's what you need. That's what you need to build a community. Is you need lots of different people with different personalities, different skill sets, different sort of passions in life. And I've got a really good feeling for where we're at. I really have.
Oh, me too. I see the tides are turning. I mean, the Cassiopeians even said on their board, which I love their forum because they don't coat things. They're very But basically right now, the light and the darkness are on an even playing field. So that means the darkness is losing its power. And so just keep going, guys. Keep smiling, keep laughing, keep
Laughter, yeah.
enjoy your life. Like yeah, there's all these things we do and we learn and we're on a journey. But as Alan Watts says, what's the point of being alive? What's the point of life? Is to actually be alive, is to actually have these moments of laughter and the sorrow, but to also remember that there is a lot of fun to life too. There's a lot of beauty in this world. And even though we know that planet Earth is one of the most polarizing as far as like all the third, apparently according to the third density planets, it's like the most, it's the gangster planet, it's the roughest. But because it's so rough and so evil here, there's also that much light. It's also, planet Earth is also one of the brightest, most beautiful planets too. And so remember that.
You've got to look at the animals. I mean, if you're in any doubt, get a picture of a guinea pig eating on your screen and you'll realize that there cannot be many planets that have things as cute as guinea pigs, surely.
I mean, my friend Amanda Danielson was saying when she was in a session that the animals today made agreements with some of the other off-worlders in order to let them come in and share their body just so they could experience this world.
Oh, definitely. I mean,
Yeah.
I've spoken about my cat Idris. He's definitely goes off goodness knows where, but I'm sure he's got a spreadsheet. He just appears by magic. So yeah, I think, you know, yeah, there's a lot of beauty here, a lot of beauty, and I have a very strong feeling we're going to be seeing a lot more of that from right this moment on. Thank you so much. Big hugs to you. Big hugs to everyone who's listening and watching, and we'll be back.
Yeah. Let us know in the comment section your tradition, because I want to see what you do that's so special with your family, especially if you're in warmer states, warmer countries during Christmas. What are your traditions? Because
that's what we do. We need to. Oh, it's such a shame they can't leave pictures in the comments. If you've got pictures, put them on my Instagram. I'd love seeing people's pictures.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Actually, before we start, Catherine, did you get the kudo board that they wrote for us for the 30 days?
Oh my god, it was amazing.
People left pictures of their family for us, and I got so emotional that they were sharing their I mean, oh my god. And I've said it before, that kudo board, I literally, when I'm feeling down, I read it, because you guys have no idea how much that meant to us, because that was so beautiful that you guys did that for us. So thank you so much. That was one of the sweetest things that you could have done. So thank you so much. It
really was beautiful. It was just so lovely. Thank you. Saying thank you just goes a long way. Hope there's a few people listening to that. Oh dear. On that note, love you and leave you all. Take care.
Bye guys. Merry Christmas.
Bye.